Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Karen Berzanski is a certified life coach and pro EFT tapping coach who works with creative and spiritual entrepreneurs to build their confidence and their mindset as they grow their online businesses. Karen found tapping after being hit and run over by a car in 2008. It helped her heal from PTSD and chronic pain, move across the country from New York to LA, and start her own business. She now teaches other women how to use their past to propel them into the future and the businesses of their dreams. Now let's welcome Karen to the show. Hi, I'm Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show, where we co-create powerful, conscious conversations on the leading edge. Today I have a very special guest joining me, and this is Karen, and we're going to learn about tapping and be able to reduce our fear around stepping into the next big thing for us. So welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yay! Tapping, it's been around for a while. And it's interesting because when it was first really, really popular, there was something about it that I was just a little resistant to, which is interesting because I'm all about, trying different things and that. So it's interesting that now, in my own journey, this is coming full circle. It's coming around. So this is going to be fun.
So funny because my first introduction to it too, I had the same reaction where I was like, what are people like? I had no idea. I was like, I started to try it. I remember when I first heard about it and I was like, this sounds really interesting. And then I just started to do, I was in my bedroom and I'm like, is anybody watching me? And I felt so stupid and nothing happened. And it was just like, I'm going to come back to this later. That's weird.
Yeah.
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 So experience first time.
Yeah. Well, because I think one of the first things I attempted was tap for $50,000. And so I was like, I'm doing this tapping and where's the $50,000?
Oh. That may have been overshooting it a little bit for your first time.
Right. So I imagine that I'm not the only one. There are probably lots of other people that have maybe had the same experience. They tried it for some big goal and they didn't see results. So let's break it down a little bit. Quickly, if someone has never heard of tapping before, EFT, what is it?
So pro EFT, or progressive energy field tapping, it's a combination of ancient Chinese acupressure and modern psychology. And we actually use the same points on the body that they use in acupuncture and acupressure, but rather than needles, we just use a light tapping sensation to stimulate the energy in the same way. So what we're doing is we're saying very specific words and phrases while we're tapping through the points related to whatever the person is trying to process, whatever issue that's up for them, whatever blocks that they've got going on that are keeping them from reaching their goals. And what tapping does on a physiological level is it's clinically proven to turn off the fight or flight response that happens in your brain. So when our brain feels threatened in any way, whether it's something that's actually happening in our real life or it's something that happened in the past where it's just more of an imagined threat, what happens is our brain gets triggered, turns on that fight or flight response, and puts us into a state of tension. And when we're in that state of tension, we lose access to everything that's good, like all of our creative resources, all of our strength, all of our creativity. It kind of gets turned off and we get put into this state of tension where we're overwhelmed. We get, we can't make decisions. We feel like we're kind of in a state of frenzy all the time. And we don't feel grounded. Our energy is just all over the place. And when we're tapping through the points, it actually sends a calming signal to the brain to turn off that fight or flight response and turn on what I call peace brain. So when our amygdala is turned on, it's what I call freaked out brain. And then as we tap, we go into what I call peace brain as that signal is transmitted to the amygdala, and it kind of turns that signal off, puts us into a state of feeling grounded, feeling centered, feeling safe to let go of whatever that issue or that stuff was that was holding us back. And then we get into that place where we feel peaceful and we feel like we have what it takes to move forward, and we can feel the fear and just move forward and take action towards our goals anyway. It's so exciting.
Yeah, well, because we all, I mean, if we're human, we all have at least one thing that causes us to get into that frenzied state or that heightened state where everything, you're right, everything shuts down. We can't think. There are times I like to throw myself under the bus. There are a lot of times if I'm, say, doing a live video, or it's like all of a sudden it's like the pressure's on to perform, right? I'll go into the deer in the headlights, and the whole everything shuts down. The brain is like, I have no idea what I'm saying. Where am I?
Right. So you lose your words too. You like lose access to language a lot of times because you go into that freeze response like a deer in headlights, and it's like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, what am I saying? I'm there's a camera on me. I don't know what to do. And you can't just like relax and be yourself. And that's such a common like thing that people tap on with me. So yeah.
I bet because you really enjoy working with entrepreneurs, and and I'm wondering if you've noticed this as well, is that there's this thing about visibility. People want to be seen, but they're so afraid to really putting themselves out there. And they'll actually, on one hand, they'll say, I want to get more visibility, but on the other hand, they're sabotaging themselves in, unconscious or subconscious ways. So I would love to talk about this.
Yes. There's so much of that. The underlying reason that people don't put themselves out into the world more and get more visible is because they don't feel safe. Doesn't feel safe to move forward. There's the what will they think? Will I be judged? Will anyone else show up? What if I don't have the words? All of these fears that come up. What if I don't look right? I don't have the right lighting. I don't have the right tech. I'm not techie. What if it doesn't work? What if I can't get the technology to work? And it's like, and then you short circuit. You don't do it, and that fear becomes so overwhelming.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'll do it next week.
Right.
Or I'll do it once I get all of the lighting right, or once yeah, exactly.
So what we do in tapping is just, we would literally recognize and say out loud all of those fears as we're moving through the points, and then that would help the person start to actually release the fear on a cellular level. And it's so interesting what happens. Once you start to vocalize the fear, it's like, oh yeah, I'm really afraid of all of this stuff happening, or I'm afraid no one might show up, or I'm afraid I might get it wrong, or I'm telling myself that I need to be perfect, just like my mom told me I needed to be perfect when I was growing up. And, it's so a lot of times other things start to kind of come up when we're tapping, where it's like, oh yeah, I raised my hand in 4th grade and got visible and the whole class laughed at me, and now I never, now I just want to shrink down, but I want to be visible in my business. And I say that consciously, but there's something, in the hidden part of my mind that's holding me back, and I don't know what that is. And it's really interesting when we start to tap on the surface level, I'm afraid, the tech's not going to go right, and all these things are going to happen or not going to happen. And then a memory pops in, and it's like, oh my gosh, this thing from 4th grade, or, I tried to speak up at this conference and it didn't, I made a fool out of myself, and I just told myself I would never do that again. And I didn't want to feel that again. And that's why I've been holding myself back. And it's not until we can tap through that and then tap in a sense of safety, so that the person actually feels safe to move forward and to actually take the action, that they can actually do it. So,
well, and I love that you bring up that once it's layers of say an onion or something. It's once we tap into, this one innocuous thing, oh, the lights aren't right. And then we follow that string and we realize that there's something much deeper. And, that's the arena I love playing in, being a trained therapist. It's let's dig in there, because it's amazing how all of those, it's like the breadcrumbs following these pieces of how throughout our life we've basically reinforced these beliefs or these fears or these things that cause us it's like outside of our comfort zone and we're like, no
Exactly.
way.
Exactly. And then if it's like one thing that happened and then another that we're all like, you tried to get visible and something happened, and then you've built this pattern over time that your brain is like, okay, well, if I try to get visible again, this bad thing is going to happen. And you don't necessarily know that in your conscious awareness. And then you try to get visible and you do all of these things to hold yourself back and you don't know why and you can't figure it out. It's like that's when tapping really, is a good tool to bring out of your toolbox. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That'll
I'm
help
excited
you
because
and follow those breadcrumbs. Yeah.
yeah. I'm excited because you're going to actually going to walk us through a brief tapping experience. Um, but what was I going to say? This thing about, we can start taking action towards say we know we want to do something, we want to up level our life, and since we're already kind of talking about live video and we'll just kind of stick with that, but it's like we can take these steps that are outside of our comfort zone and we start taking action, but then we can get right up to it, and then when we push, go live, and then we're in that fear state.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, yeah, we need these tools to be able to kind of hold our own hand through this
Right.
process of kind of
Yeah.
retraining ourselves.
Exactly. It's retraining ourselves, retraining our brain, and again, like making sure that we actually feel safe to do it. And it's not like we have to like, do an hour long live session on Facebook like the first time. It's like, no, well, we can start small. And that's a really important thing too. Like sometimes people set goals that are so big, like their brain can't handle it. It's like, oh, I'm going to do Facebook lives every single day, Monday through Friday, at 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And, it's overwhelming. And it's like, no,
Right.
just start with 5 minutes and like tell your friends and your business buddies that you're going to do it so they can show up and support you. And then,
Mm-hmm.
you can tap, you can move through the fear, and you can just take that one action and they can be there cheering you on. And that's going to help to build your confidence as you continue to do it moving forward.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so it's interesting because just as we're talking about this, I'm feeling it's like we are evoking these feelings of the the tension and the excitement and
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and just to be transparent to everyone that's watching and listening, this is the show always reflects my own personal journey, and I'm making a big huge up level in the show. I'm in just 2 weeks I'm taking the show to a complete solo show, and so it's interesting because it's bringing up all sorts of stuff for me. And if people that don't know me intimately, they would be like, think I'm crazy feeling that, oh, it's going to be scary to be doing like a solo show, right? When I'm doing this all the time, I'm interviewing people, but but
Hmm.
we all have those areas where uh you know well, like I said, I keep throwing myself under the bus. But but doing things, I think we often will do things in our life that keeps us safe, that keeps us from really stepping out and really owning our gifts or our wisdom, our knowledge, our truth.
Hmm.
And
And yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say it's interesting because you've been doing this for a long time and you have all the experience, and so
Hmm.
people would naturally be like, well, what are you talking about? You've been doing this, like why are you
Right.
afraid? you
Yeah.
know but it's like it's so interesting that it doesn't matter where we are in our lives or in our careers or wherever, like the fears are always the same. Like whether you're just starting and you're like, I'm going to interview my first person, oh my god, or you're like, yeah, I've interviewed hundreds of people and now I'm going to start doing this on my own, oh my God. Like
Yeah.
all it's like the exact same stuff comes up in both places. It's like, well, what does this mean now? What does this mean about me? What does this mean about my show? How are my people gonna view me? Are they gonna think, whatever, like what are they going to think about me? Are they going to like it? Are they going to
Mm-hmm.
want the old style back? What if it doesn't work? What is this, what if this blows up? Then what's that going to mean for my life? Like, are the people that were with me before going to be with me after? That's always a big thing too. It's like people are oftentimes afraid that they're going to lose the people in their lives if they step into the next version of themselves or the next level of their lives or their businesses, which is a legitimate fear, because
Right.
a lot of times, like, we do have to let people go. Um, so yeah, being aware of all that and tapping through it and doing it anyway, because it's in the service of, you know, of your audience and your soul, and it's like it's part of your dharma, it's what you're here to do. And what's really cool is that, as human beings, we're here to grow and expand. And it's always that, like, it's like that flower that's like ever blooming, where it's like, you're just expanding and then expanding again, and it's expanding again, and you're always, seeing a new layer and experiencing new things and learning new skills. And of course, that's always going to be scary, whether you're, just starting out or whether you've been on the path for a long time. So
Mm-hmm.
tapping is such a great tool to just, recognize, acknowledge, and like tap through what's actually going on for you and all of those fears that are there. And that's another thing. Like, sometimes people are just afraid to even like vocalize it, because it's like, oh no, I'm supposed to be positive all the time. But really, like, they're like terrified under the surface.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we got to get that stuff out before we can, do the positive affirmations and get ourselves into that state of feeling really, like, genuinely, honestly positive and excited, rather than oh, I'm supposed to be positive. So
Right.
loved what you said about, like, oh, this is kind of bringing up my stuff. It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
when we start talking about it and tapping through it, generally speaking, like, it starts to get a little, more intense before it starts to calm down, because a lot of times we don't realize what we had in there until we start to vocalize it and tap through it. And you're like, oh my God, I just, my intensity went from a 6 to an 8 rather than a 6 to a 4. It's like, what am I doing wrong? So it's like, no, this is actually good, because this was in there. You just didn't have awareness of it. Now it's coming out, and then we can get to the good stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Speaking of getting to the good stuff, you're going to walk us through. You're actually going to walk us through a few different things, right? So for this portion of the interview, you're going to walk us through a short example, and then for members, we're going to actually dive in deeper and really explore this. So, but let's go ahead and dive into the first part.
All right. So I thought we could just tap a little bit on overwhelm, since that's generally, like, there's a lot of stuff going on in people's lives. They feel their energy pulled in lots of different directions. So I thought we could do a short tapping session
Yeah.
just on releasing some of that overwhelm, getting out of, again, what I call freaked out brain, and getting into peace brain. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. We all can relate. So,
I got a lot of stuff going on in my own life right now, so this is good for me too.
now let me ask you. This is
Sure.
a question I've often wondered with tapping. Now, does it matter which side you do
It
based on
doesn't.
if you, okay.
Nope, the meridian system runs down both sides of the body. So you can use the right side, you can use the left side. It doesn't matter. When I tap through the points on the body, I actually use both sides,
Mm,
because it's just more energetic bang for your buck. But if you just want to use
nice.
one side, that's totally fine.
No, I
And
like doing, let's go for
yeah,
the
right.
bang for the
It's
buck.
like And also, another interesting little factoid, you have meridian endpoints in all of your fingertips. So when you're tapping through the points, if you want to
Mm.
tap with all of your fingertips, you can do that too. And again, you're
Ah,
just getting more endpoints. So I generally tap
nice.
with like 2 or 3 fingers, but it's up to you.
We're
You'll get
like,
results either.
ah.
This is right before I go to bed. I'm just all over.
Okay.
All right. So if you have water, take a sip of water, because it's always very important to stay hydrated when you're
Mm,
tapping.
I
Or
have tea.
tea is good too. Okay, and just take a deep breath and feel into that overwhelm in your body right now. Like, where is it living? Do you feel it maybe in your shoulders or in your chest? Maybe you feel it in your back or your head. And sometimes the sensations, sometimes they kind of morph into a color or a shape. Sometimes. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But if it's just a sensation, just notice it. And on the 0 to 10 scale, 0 being like, I'm totally in peace brain, don't need to tap, and 10 being like, I'm completely overwhelmed. Notice where you are on that scale with the overwhelm. Where are you right now on that scale?
I'd say 8.
8. Okay, great. Okay. So let's tap. So I'm just gonna go through the points. So just follow along, and I'll try to be obvious of where the tapping points are if someone is tapping with us and has never tapped before. So we'll start on the karate chop point, which is the fleshy part of the outside of your hand. And again, either side doesn't matter. And just repeat after me.
Okay.
Even though
there's all
this overwhelm, and it's keeping me from feeling calm and grounded in my body. And what else is it keeping you from, Angela?
Really putting myself out there.
And it's keeping me from really putting myself out there. And there's a big part of me that doesn't want to let this go.
And there's a big part of me that doesn't want to let it go. What's that?
Maybe because
if
I let it go, I might actually have to take action. And I'd rather stay safe. And maybe because this is how I've always done it. I don't know myself without overwhelm. And I want to get to the bottom of this. And I want to learn to love and honor all of my parts. Especially the ones that are stuck in this overwhelm. Shake out your hands. Take a deep breath.
I was feeling better already.
Good.
Okay, we're done.
All this overwhelm. It's so much. I don't know how to deal with all of it. It's keeping me in freaked out brain. And it's keeping me from getting visible. And going to the next level. While feeling calm and confident. All this overwhelm. I don't want to let it go. You can't make me. It's just how I do it. This overwhelm is keeping me safe. It's keeping me in my comfort zone. And it's keeping me from feeling peaceful and grounded. And that kind of sucks.
And that really sucks.
All this overwhelm. I wonder if it's possible to let it go. I wonder if it's possible to do this another way. Without all this overwhelm. No, who am I kidding? This is how I do it.
This is how
Everybody does it. There's no way that I could do it any other way. That's poppycock. All this overwhelm. So I feel a little, scared. So I have a lot to do. So my life is opening up. In a lot of different ways. Duh, of course that's going to make me feel a little overwhelmed.
Of course, it's going to make me feel overwhelmed.
I'm human. Hi.
I'm human, of course.
So maybe I can just allow this overwhelm to be.
So maybe I can just allow this overwhelm to be.
And I can drop into the present moment.
And I can drop into the present moment.
And just be present in my body.
And just be present in my body.
I want to honor and acknowledge this overwhelm.
I want to honor and acknowledge this overwhelm.
I want to thank it for showing up today.
I want to thank it for showing up today.
And trying to keep me safe.
And trying to keep me safe.
Thank you, overwhelm.
Thank you, overwhelm.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
But I'm going to do it a different way now.
But I'm going to do it a different way now.
I don't need you anymore.
I don't need you anymore.
I'm letting go of this overwhelm.
I'm letting go of this overwhelm.
From every cell in my body.
From every cell in my body.
I choose peace.
I choose peace.
I choose to be grounded in this moment.
I choose to be grounded in this moment.
I choose to focus on one thing at a time.
I choose to focus on one thing at a time.
Just the next right indicated action.
Just the next right action.
And I choose to stay grounded.
And I choose to stay grounded.
Releasing this overwhelm.
Releasing this overwhelm.
Releasing any remaining tension.
Releasing any remaining tension.
Releasing any resistance.
Releasing any resistance.
To letting go of this overwhelm.
To letting go of this overwhelm.
I choose peace.
I choose peace.
I choose to be present in my body.
I choose to be present in my body.
I choose to tap into excitement.
I choose to tap into excitement.
In this moment.
In this moment.
In every cell of my body.
In every cell of my body.
Right now.
Right now.
Okay, shake our hand. It's breath.
Oh, boy. Wow.
Yeah. So that was just, a little short tapping session to give you a little feel for what it is that we do. If you want to kind of just check back in and notice if you feel any shifting in energy. A lot of times you'll just feel something shifting or you're not sure or something else comes up. So.
No, I feel like I've just taken a sedative.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm having to feel a little sleepy. There are a lot of different ways that people process what it is that they're going through.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. What's your
powerful.
Number now? How overwhelmed do you feel? Did you feel a shift at all?
Oh yeah, I'm like 0 or 1.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a feel.
I'm telling you. I'm like lounging on a beach.
Yeah, it's funny. It doesn't take a whole lot of tapping to just get into that place of feeling like, oh wow, yeah, I just want to move forward and take it one day at a time and recognize when I feel a little overwhelmed and keep going. And that's it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So for members, we're actually going to take this even deeper, which I'm really excited about, like beyond belief. So you have something that you're making special for the viewers. And so can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, it is a tapping meditation. So it's an MP3 that you can download, and it's a full tapping session for you to do whenever you want on losing the fear of getting visible, so tapping through the fear of getting visible and tapping yourself into a state of confidence and power so that you feel like you're ready to show up and you can show up and you're going to do it and move forward and feel freaking excited about it.
Yes. Woo! Yes. I can't wait. So if you're watching this on Facebook Live, then type "Get Visible" in the comments and we will send you the link for that. And otherwise you can get it on the Awakened Goddess Show website. So we'll have a link for that as well. Oh, Karen, thank you. Thank you for this amazing adventure. I thank you for really opening me up to tapping and helping us all have a powerful experience. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.